Hi guys, my name is Jenny Tran, and today we're continuing another episode of Community Eats at SHANK and Bone, where we interviewed Han Tran with my co-host Albert Vu.
Yes, like Jenny said, we're back with another episode, and we're trying out Vietnamese food. Specifically, they're specialized in pho bowls here, and we're gonna talk to Han Tran about how she's here in the North Park neighborhood to diversify the food culture and how she brings everything here in the North Park neighborhood in San Diego.
My name is Han Tran. I am an owner / operating partner here at SHANK and Bone, which is a Vietnamese restaurant right here in North Park. SHANK and Bone has been our restaurant for going on 5.5 years now. It's our modern Vietnamese concept right in North Park. I grew up in the restaurant industry because of my parents and their business that started out when I was about 11 years old and ended up following in the footsteps of my parents, getting into the restaurant business by opportunity and serendipity, and I've been doing it ever since. We ended up having the opportunity to take over a space here in North Park. It was kind of ripe at the time in my mind to do a Vietnamese concept that was updated but still inviting, familiar but also boldly new in some ways. The key was to keep it still tasting like Vietnamese food to Vietnamese people, but also allowing others who are not fully familiar with Vietnamese food to come in and feel welcome and feel like they could, become familiar with it without feeling intimidated. There's a lot of beautiful Vietnamese restaurants around here. North Park is kind of a little bit outside of that, but close enough to where I still felt connected to my community. I love the diversity of it, the casualness of North Park, and so it made sense to bring like a Vietnamese restaurant that was still very Vietnamese, but also kind of a little bit edgy and a little bit different.
What's something that you'd say like, oh, if you come to SHANK and Bone, you have to have this dish or this item?
When you come here, definitely the best way to take a deep dive is to have our signature pho. It's meant to kind of conjure that home pho. There's bone marrow, there's oxtail, and there's all the other cuts, but there's like the richer cuts that you wouldn't normally put in there. I mean, we even put shank in there because why not? It's in our name. We pour our broth table side. It makes for the broth staying nice and hot. You see the meat cooking in your bowl for the rare cuts, right? So you're not getting overcooked filet mignon or overcooked rare steak, right? It stays rare. The noodles aren't overcooking and clumping on the way there. The roasted bone marrow is like a bit of a nod to French cooking. So it's 2 roasted halves of bone, and you scoop it on a slice of banh mi with our chimichurri sauce. And that one's super popular. We have that paired with one of our banh mi sandwiches, which is a Wagyu brisket banh mi. And another dish that I'm really proud of that has done really well is thịt kho. So canh chua thịt kho, the braised catfish. Like everybody Vietnamese grew up eating this dish. Like everybody's mom has a version of it. And you don't get to see it in restaurants too often. Our bun xeo tacos is another version of like how we kind of reintroduced the bun xeo. Traditional bun xeo is a big savory crepe filled with all the goodness. You break a piece off, you wrap it with lettuce. So here we miniaturized the bun xeo by making it into a taco. We made it bite-sized, so it's still your airy, light coconut turmeric batter filled with minced pork and shrimp and jicama and all of that. We kind of made it simple, but when you take a bite, it still tastes like the OG bun xeo. We put a lot of love into our nước mắm here. We make it really truly flavorful. We don't cut any corners. Like there's fresh citrus in it, and fresh garlic. So our nước mắm is good. It's like the finishing touch.
Look at how, this is crazy.
This is so huge. I've never had like a bowl that was popping out at me like a jump scare. That's huge. This is my head compared to it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's really soft. I'm just pulling this off. I'm gonna try it. Dip it in.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Very tender, super flavorful.
I think this meat was a lot sweeter, richer.
And if you really want to, you can, you could just give the bone marrow a little bath. Does it come with the noodles?
It does not come with noodles, I don't think. No.
Oh, it comes with extra beef.
Just more meat from this honker.
So this one right here is, if my Vietnamese pronunciation is right, it's called cá kho tô and canh chua tôm. So we have catfish in a clay pot and kind of like a sweet, sour shrimp soup.
Yes. That is caramelized fish goodness. Soft, warm, sweet.
It's a little spicy, a little tangy. Overall, just feels really good. I can see why Han said a lot of people come to the restaurant to try this dish out.
So next we have our brisket and bone banh mi. And look at this freaking bone. It's just splayed out there.
Looks unreal.
Yeah, it's got brisket inside. Amazing. And then your pickled vegetables.
So we're gonna get a little bit of this bone marrow.
Cheers.
The meat itself is just so tender. It looks like there's a lot that's going on right now, but honestly, you can taste the pickled vegetables. Kind of cut through the fat and the greasiness. But then if you want to add back the fat and the greasiness again, you can just put the bone marrow on top.
Yeah. The bone marrow got like a citrusy flavor to it. And with this and the bone marrow, I don't know, there's something so bright about it. I would say that this is like a fantastic, like, pick me up for lunch.
And now we have the banh xeo tacos.
So the classic, way that you just have to eat it is wrapping it also in lettuce.
I'm gonna try it naked. So, dip inside the fish sauce and lick mom.
Cheers. This makes me so happy. It's so convenient. It's such a cute size. It's so brilliant. This is so good.
It just makes banh xeo eating a little bit more convenient.
Yeah.
Really good idea by Han.
I noticed that from the moment I walked into your restaurant that you were definitely telling a story here. Is there a specific story that you want to tell with all the artwork that you collected?
The way that the Vietnamese diaspora in America is represented through the food we bring here and what versions of it evolves is a very fascinating and colorful thing to kind of look into and study. So when we had the opportunity to open this, like, I knew, yes, having it bright and updated and all that was important, but it was a really fun opportunity to bring like the true inspiration in like historical details. Saigon then and now is the inspiration for the space. So we have a lot of old French travel posters. I have a big map on one of the walls that is from 1942 Saigon. Before the war, before the names of the streets were changed, there's a lot of vintage posters in the hallway. All the little bathroom photos are of scenes of life. The motorcycles were fun to find, so they're like ubiquitous in Vietnam. We found like actual operating vintage bikes from that era here in San Diego. The mural is pretty special because obviously it's massive, right? And it's very stunning. But it was gifted to us by a world-renowned muralist, Shepard Fairey, who is famous for his propaganda-style art, but using that style of art to address issues of humanitarianism, civil rights, and pushing towards equality. The image is called Revolution Woman. It's a replication of an image that he puts around the world. So it exists in many places in the world. Our employees are absolutely vital to what we do. I mean, it sounds so cliche to call them family, but they really do feel like that. Working amongst people that you actually care about and having fun doing it really translates to how the experience goes. Like when you come into a place where people seem happy to be here or work well together, like as the one receiving the service, you can kind of feel that it emanates from the space. I like to work right alongside them. I'm not the kind of person that will stand and just point. Like I'll go and do everything that they can do. I enjoy that because it allows me to be in the trenches with them. And I'm really proud that we've been able to build that kind of sense of community within the restaurant, even in sense of support. It's great, and when they all get along, it makes me happy.
How do you feel about like putting your name here at Shank and Bone here in North Park?
There's a lot of people who will venture only as far as North Park and not be willing to go into City Heights or for some reason don't know it enough to feel comfortable there. It makes sense in that having an alternative and not necessarily a substitution. We felt up to the challenge of being close enough to the Vietnamese community and just why not support it, right? And then bringing Vietnamese food to North Park kind of made it a little more comfortable for non-Viets to feel like they were a part of a Vietnamese restaurant, like still coming into a true Vietnamese restaurant. North Park is diverse in a lot of ways, but food diversity doesn't quite exist here just yet. We have a lot of pizza and tacos and burgers and all of that. But as far as Asian food, we have only a few. It was an opportunity to bring us literally front and center in front of the North Park sign in a way that I felt could stand up to what this neighborhood is about. Like, I felt like North Park was ready for it. It feels good to represent or bring the Vietnamese diaspora outside of the hub and be able to still be true to both at the same time.
I guess it does make sense. Like a taco.
Yeah. That was such an amazing meal at Shank and Bone. We would like to thank Han Tran for giving us her time and showing us the amazing tasty eats that she shared with us today.
And thank you to her specifically and her staff for such an amazing team and for their hospitality. And again, we'd like to tell y'all to please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and please let us know down in the comments if you think we should visit anywhere else in San Diego. Thank you all for watching.